Hey guys, I'm catching up with Bora again after England versus Sri Lanka game. Once again, we couldn't win, but we had a really good start to the game. We put the pressure back to a formidable England batting lineup, and it was a great start with our spinners. They took wickets to push the run rate back and put the pressure back to England batting lineup. At one stage, after 8 overs, they were 34 runs, but in the back end of the innings, that's where we lost the momentum and gave away too many runs on a slow wicket for England to put up a good score. Bora, what do you think? It was another hard pill to swallow for Sri Lankan team.
Yeah, hard pill, but England are the favourites in this comp by a mile, and we gave a run for the money in terms of putting them under pressure. We've seen in the press conference Morgan saying, "Look, Sri Lanka put up a good show. They felt they were under the pump at times." So we've been talking about the development aspects of that team. So these are good victories, small victories that we want, but didn't get us across the line to get that W. Just a quick overall one. Chasing has been the go-to factor with a lot of captains in terms of in the game so far. So Dasun won the toss, elected to field to set the game up. Refreshing to see that we made a change with Manidu opening being the second change bowler. Yeah. It worked to how we wanted. Mahesh came late into the attack as well, so you could see how much control he had there. He got through his 4 overs, less than 4 runs and over. I think the spinners bowled 8 overs for 34 runs, and we were, I think, the first half of the England batting overs, or first 10 overs, we were, I think, there just slightly ahead.
Yeah.
But that was a special innings by Jos Buttler there, which took the game away. Again, another strong hitter in T20 cricket or franchise cricket. I think he's on par or just behind AB de Villiers in circuit or in T20 cricket overall. And he put up a show to take England out of the troubles they are in. They were in at the time. Morgan wasn't in form, but he hung around, stuck it in just so. In hindsight, if we would have gotten a wicket there, new batters coming in wouldn't have been able to get off the strike so quickly. I mean, Morgan generally, we heard him say they like to play fearless cricket, go hard, but that wasn't the game he played. So it showed that it was a hard one. But credit to Jos Buttler. I think he analysed or had a match plan where he would see off the spin threat.
He did.
And then backed himself to go hard against the fast bowlers. And the last 10 overs, I think they scored 110 odd runs for 1 wicket, and Jos Buttler scored a bulk of it. I mean, it's that momentum shift that we talk. They started the 11th over with, I think, went for 11 runs, again bowled by a fast bowler. The next 12th over was bowled by a spinner. They saw it out. 13th, 15th overs were going for runs. So they identified who they have to go hard at, and they banked themselves to go ahead. So that's where I think we kind of, the back end of that 10 overs, we lost it. But still, I think it was a pass score to keep them up to. If in the morning before the game, if they had a discussion and say, let's keep England to 160, and they say, would you take 160? I'm sure Dasun and the management is, yes, 100% will take that score.
Morgan and Buttler put up 112 runs partnership. We talked about get into that middle order and fancy our chances, but Morgan hang around long enough, so waited till the fast bowlers come on, and he made the maximum out of it in the end. Those sixes were massive, but I mean, our fast bowlers didn't hit the mark again. Chamira went for 43 in 4 overs. Kumara went for 44, and we missed the mark by a long way. And we talked about this team. They're a well-oiled machine, and they're not going to miss out those chances. I don't know, did we underutilize Chamika Karunaratne? He only bowled 2 overs. Dasun had to come and bowl 2 overs for 24.
There's an argument for that as well, Vida, because we could have snuck in over to reduce an over of Lahiru Kumar perhaps. So we could have done that. So bit of a miss there, I think. Something that I think what we would have done or opened up a bit more of a game strategy for the other teams to. I'm sure the likes of Australia, Pakistan, New Zealand would be, or even South Africa, keeping an eye out on this game. What happened? They would pick out, okay, this was a good setup by Sri Lanka through the middle overs with the spin. They'll be wanting to execute that fast ball in place towards the back end, and they might be able to crack this England team open. So we've kind of given a early sight into what can be done. So teams will be looking at this game and analyzing if they could work out a plan such somewhere similar along these lines. But in terms of a bowling changes, hindsight, yeah, could we have used Charmico a bit early? Probably, if they wanted to use him, would have been that third over with Lairu ball in the power play as a thought. I think the team backs Lairu to come into the back end overs or bowl through the back end overs. So maybe Charmico could have stealed over from Lahiru at the start as thought, because you had Dushman the ball in there as well. So similar paces would have been ideal if Dushman going really fast. You had Wanidu bowl the spin, and then Charmika, just a change of pace, different thoughts there. But yeah, they brought Lahiru Kumara there into the attack. So that's where I see we could have done. Or into that, I think the 11th or the 13th over where Lahiru again went for runs. So those are the two overs that we could have played around tactically.
Yeah. No, you're right. So they end up making 163, and once again in the field, KJP dropped another chance. I don't know whether he's carrying this when he comes out to bat. We talked about us being a bit clumsy. Started our batting innings, another run out. Pathum Nissanka, guy who's in form, who can rotate the strike, and as you said last episode, he started hitting those massive sixes. We had our man in form run out. And that wasn't the best start for us.
No, exactly. This actually is the second time I've noticed a similar play. KJP did it against Markham, against South Africa, when Markham was bowling, tucked it behind his legs towards square leg. At the time, I think Rabada was the fielder there. He ran in, but he missed the ball. But similar play, if Rabada would have held on to the ball, I think Pathum would have been run out in that game as well. Second time, unlucky, the fielder caught the ball and resulted in the play. Same thing. Off-spinner bowling, we looked tentative. Pathum did face the new ball or faced up to the off-spinner, which was right, but when he scores a single, Kusal has to come and face the ball. So, and he doesn't seem naturally that aggression coming through, because he in his head, he knows he's weak there. So he's just trying to see off that over and try to get off strike, because he's worried about the effect of the off spinner, and Pathum caught it second time round, which was unfortunate. There's an interesting stat, because I, like for any of the viewers going out there as well, I was looking out on Cricket Info, because they break down into the countries you played, subcontinent, positions you batted, etc. They didn't have the stat against the spinners versus the fast bowlers. I'm sure it will come out in the future. But KJP in T20s, when he bats at the number 2 position, that's when he's at the non-striker, his strike rate drops. It drops to about 113, 110 range. I'm assuming a lot of it is when there are off-his ball in the new over where he's at the non-striker, and it just cuts down that momentum he has early. And we saw it again. We talked about it before the first game. We said Moeen Ali is going to bowl the first over. We knew that was going to happen. And again, Moeen Ali snuck through 2 overs, I see. Definitely the first one, because that means pretty much it's a 19 over game after that. We lost the plot there, I feel. But for some reason, we see towards the back end, we somehow look like we are still in the we were close by. Dasun and Wanidu seem to manage to get the scoreboard ticking along again.
Srilanka had a great start.
Yeah.
And once again, Adil Rashid started bowling googlies to 2 left-handers. I mean, he didn't bowl one single leg break to left-handers. And you know what? This field setting to left-handers reminds me of Bora. Remember the 6-a-side tournaments we play in Sri Lanka, right? Yeah. We set a field for the the what do you call the get out of the jail shot, isn't it? You're not setting a field for a good shot in the sixth side. That's what reminded me. Like, you set up a field in the leg side for a left-hander, and they bowl googlies expecting batsmen to hit against the spin, isn't it? And this is where you have to think ahead and come up with another plan, because England, we discussed this again, they analyze things better than other teams. I maybe I'm being paranoid, but don't know whether they had a chat about KJP trying to get off strike against Ospina, and maybe they were 5 steps
up the
closer,
field.
looking for that run out. Maybe I'm being paranoid. I'm just saying, because
it could be. It's identical. If you go into the South Africa, there's highlights on it. If you go into the South Africa first over Markham played bowling, you'll notice identical shot KJP played and got off strike. So I think that's spot on. Coming back to Adil Rashid's bowling googlies, and he bowls at a good line. It's that almost middle and leg line, or almost on middle, where the guys are not reading it. They're just going into the shot towards cow, when this is a specialist bowler who gets his wrong one to the googly.
He bowls a googly and like a flicker as well. So it's very hard to pick.
Again, Adil Rashid has come massively in his, I think he's at different stages. He's been playing for a long time, but I think this phase of his career is where he's rechange, and a lot they do credit to Owen Morgan's captaincy, how he's turned it around for him. And also they do talk about how Moeen Ali's helped Adil Rashid settle into that group. He's now a lot more attacking bowler for the English team. So the matchups were set up there in terms of the bowling stages that was going through. They did have an injury to Timal Mills, which kind of I thought worked in our favor to a certain extent, but we couldn't capitalize it, because when they were going to the back end, they had to get an over in, and I think
Timal Mills was their death bowler.
Yes, correct.
So that's 2 overs gone.
Yeah, and then we just couldn't get there. I just felt we fell short in the run chase, unfortunately.
And once again, wanting to brilliant performance overall. He took 3 wickets, taken 50 wickets, 20s now, and once again, you talked about this all the time. Like, he's the guy who looked really good when he's batting. So why don't we send him up the order to face the spinners? I mean, all-rounders, they carry their bowling confidence to batting when they come out and bat. I mean, that's been the case with Jack Cullis, Jai Surya, Lance Closner, all these great all-rounders in white ball cricket. So that is something we have to look into. You'll have to look at him as a batting all-rounder, not as a bowling all-rounder, because he's good enough to bat in top 6.
Yeah, he is good enough to bat in top. Yeah, my number is 5, as I always say. You could see him, like exactly the key word that you use there is confidence. When a player is showing that confidence, he wants to compete, and I'm sure he lifts the camp mood in the camp as well.
Oh, yes.
When some players he look up to, I think Charit Asalanka is starting to do that in this playing group. So we are finding certain candidates that we feel could play key roles in the next 2 to 2.5 years at least. Number one, age is on their side. They seem to be playing more confidently, and they are playing in key roles rather than having that learning environment we talk about, or that curve coming up. So they seem to be performing well. I just have a feeling, I think I might have spoken this in the past. Every team or every country goes through a phase of cricket where there is a slight slump, or could be a transition in players, a situation where they've actually struggled as a team. But the curve does swing up after a certain time. All other teams seem to be on the high, where we were on the low, which we seem to be coming with turning the circle and coming up with the players. So the other teams are now going to be transitioning out their players, and whether they'll be able to be on top is a question. And then if we have our players who are who have set it up and got the structure, it might be that we are ahead of the curve. So I try to think of it in that aspect. And we are seeing early signs. Number one, they made the game enjoyable to watch for all the Sri Lankan fans out there, where we feel there is a chance. It's not like we don't want to have a part of it. We don't want to watch it. It's not a case like that. There's actually people wanting to watch a game because there's a young group. We've managed to get something going. There seemed to be something good to look forward. We probably have our core group of players we've identified, but there'll be players transitioning in and out of this situation. So it'll be exciting times for us to watch the games that will be coming up. Love to see the doors open for some of the key players that we'd like to see come into these sides to help that transition. And a player I could think of is Angelo Matthews. It was refreshing to see that he's playing club cricket back there. That's going to be a massive boost for Coles Cricket Club. All those juniors out there will learn from him. And I see him playing a part in this team as it transitions through.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, England went through the same, and they completely changed their setup, and they brought in new players. Look where they are now. And I was listening to what Nazar Hussain was saying in commentary. In June, July, we were nowhere, and now you can see we are competitive, and we can see we have a plan. And as you said, like, we have a core group of players to work with. And you can see they will, some of these players showing the signs that they will be world-class players already. Someone like Wanidu and Dushmanta. So we just have to find few players, because some of the combination, we are not getting them right. So, you can't play the same 11 and expect them to deliver if they're not doing it in a consistent basis. You'll have to do changes, but it's not something you can do in a World Cup, because you've got 15 players selected, and that's what you have to work with. The next World Cup coming up in 2022, so we have a group of players we can work with. At least, that's a big plus for us from this World Cup. We are playing West Indies. That's our last game. Mathematically, we still have a chance to make it to the semi-finals, but I'm just being too optimistic. But
I think so.
We'll have to win. We'll have to win this West Indies game.
Yeah, if we win, it'll be a good confidence booster for us to end the campaign on. Very tight chance of us sneaking through, so many odds to work out with. If at all we win, it'll actually help another team to go through, is the feeling I have, because it'll be a tight tussle between South Africa and Australia fighting for that second spot. For us, definitely, if we can get a win, it just sets us up to come back saying we've tried. Expectations weren't this what we wanted, but we've managed to get some results going our way. If things work out the way things are going in the other group as well, we've seen India at the moment is struggling to get through to the knockouts at this stage. They've dropped points against two teams. So it's a tight tournament. In a tight tournament, for us to have competed against top teams, that's a massive confidence booster for that team. We always 10-15 runs short, and if you iron out those what we termed as clumsy mistakes or those passages, we would have shifted the momentum more towards us. So that's where we got to be more clinical, be more accurate in some of the decisions we are making.
They're learning on the job, Bora. We're just starting to play domestic T20 tournament, so they learn these things on international stage. This is what we have to do. We'll keep playing LPL, and hopefully more players will get picked to leagues around the world to gain experience, and they'll play these scenarios. They'll get used to these player matchup and gain that experience and bring that to our camp and use that when they play for Sri Lanka, isn't it?
Yeah, I think early signs, I think the marquee tournament players want to be involved is the IPL. A lot of the franchises would keep an eye out on who are the players they'd like to identify. It's a big auction coming up before the next edition. 2 more teams introduced.
Mm.
So there is more spots up for grabs. Early signs would be, we've seen Vanidu and Dushmantha make it up there. They'll be again in the mixed. Charit Asalanka might be a guy they'll put up. Mahesh Theekshana, another player who get into the mix. Those are the players. Pathum Nissanka, you never know. But that will be the 4 at this stage who'll be looking, because Charit seemed to be able to accelerate very quickly.
Yeah. I mean, this is not a regular podcast. It's this just you and me catching up after a game. So we'll have to wrap up as well, because we talked a lot about analytics and analyzing. I just want to put out something Nuwan Sena Ratna has put up on Twitter. If you want to check his Twitter account, you'll find, he has put out predictions, and his latest tweet, he wants to compare current team to Sri Lanka 1992 World Cup team. In 1992 World Cup team, there's 7 players who went on to play and win the 96 World Cup. And in this group of players, already we can see a few players who will go on to play a few more years and maybe hopefully a couple more World Cups for Sri Lanka. Bora, any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I've seen the comparisons of the players that they've put through. I think number one, a key learning there is if you play the same group of players or somewhere the 7 to 8 players are in that mix, they understand their strengths and how to play off each other. Especially in a team sport, knowing your roles or having settled into your roles do help. That's something that will be keenly following. Again, those 7 players were playing into key roles in those teams. So that's that similarity that you do see that. But it argues well, like we did, I guess a massive comparison is when Sri Lanka cricket switched over to climb, get those victories or get into that strong era. If history does repeat itself or doesn't repeat but rhymes itself, we seem to be heading that way. It'll be exciting times to watch. With no more, I think once the tournament is wrapped up and once we have an idea on the next series that is coming up or what the plans are from a T20 perspective in terms of our
we'll have a proper chat after the World Cup. We'll do an episode about where can we go from here and what can we take from this World Cup, and I'll put Nuwan's Twitter handle in the show notes. Check it out. So my prediction is Sri Lanka's going to win the game against West Indies. What do you think?
Yeah, I hope so. Would love Sri Lanka to finish on a win. Also, for the West Indies, I believe it's their last game of the tournament as well, most likely. So a fitting farewell for a strong group of players that are playing out there. So that's going to be an end of an era of the international circuit for a lot of that West Indies players. So I hope that we can come out on top. Again, they've got a strong left-hand batting or top order going there. So Mahesh will have to play again. It will be a Mahesh factor. I don't know whether they'll go with another spinner again. But the way our squad setting up looks like it'll be the same team unless they back Kakila in over Lahiru Kumar of that left-hand factors. But no, it'll be a close game. West Indies hasn't fired and we've been getting close to the finish line, just can't get over it. I hope that this game will get us over the line and get us a win to close the tournament up.
Bring us a win, boys. Anything else? I think that's about it.
Yeah, at this stage, just to sum up the group standings with Pakistan, New Zealand might make it in as well as the 2 teams there. England,
India is struggling.
England ahead, and then toss up between South Africa, Australia at this stage. Our early predictions were Sri Lanka, England, and a lot emotional Sri Lankan prediction, but we did in the best of us. But let's watch another game of cricket. Enjoy. The boys are turning up and playing some good cricket to watch. I know there's slight bit of drops in certain stages of the game, but overall pretty good to watch.
Yeah, we'll have a chat after West Indies game. Bora.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. See you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Yeah.